Hi folks, and welcome to May's Aches and Games Monthly, a regular check-in between two slightly older British friends talking life, gaming, and whatever other nonsense comes to mind. We've got a fantastic show for you this month. As always, we'll be sharing what we've been doing, playing, including Blueprints, which was our latest game of the month. Plus, we'll discuss the latest news and releases and announce next month's game of the month. Before we jump in, just wanted to draw your attention to our recent Nintendo special that dropped over Easter, so if you've not checked that one out, please do so. It's a fun, we think, little look back on our Nintendo-based gaming memories, and a great little 45-minute episode, a little bonus for you back in the feed, so please have a look or a listen. And remember, we'd love to hear from you on our social platforms, our Facebook page, or by emailing us on achesandgamespod@gmail.com. I'm Giles Nicholson, Giles Wentwest on most things, and joining me as always is my good friend James Hapes. Hey James, how are you doing?
Good now. I just fixed the microphone again for the 54th time. Voice that. So it's working at the moment, but it'll probably buzz and beep and fall apart again in a minute. Anyway, I've no idea what you just said, but I'm sure it's great and very professional as always, so thank you for the introduction. Yeah, the Nintendo special was good, so if you haven't checked it out, please do, because that was good fun. Quite enjoyed that one. And it's short as well, so if you haven't got much time, pop that one back. But yeah, I'm James Boy 1978 on PlayStation Network, and you have to laugh on social media and other places doing other things. And I do the website, achesandgames.co.uk, and the Facebook page, and TikTok and other things, so check us out on all those places. But yeah, no idea if you asked me a question, because the sound disappeared. So if you did, then great.
I can confirm, James, that it was indeed a very professional, smooth intro, and we'll gloss over the fact that it was like take 3 or something today. Professional as ever. Okay, so jumping into it, what have you been up to? It's been Easter this month, hasn't it? So I'd imagine you've got quite a lot going on.
Yeah, still quite a lot of chocolate in the house, to be fair. Joshua had about 13/14 chocolate items to plough through. And annoyingly, he's not ploughed through them quickly, but they're sitting in the fridge, and I want to plough through them on his behalf, but he won't let me. He keeps me being greedy and a pig, which is not pleasant. So I've not been eating them, they're just sitting in the fridge. And if they're still sitting in the fridge in a month's time, I'll be very annoyed because I could have eaten them quite happily. Hey ho. So we've done lots of Easter egg hunts involving clues and stuff around our house. We had a 15 clue spectacular. One clue guides you to the next location where you get the next clue and you carry them around indoors and outdoors, upstairs and downstairs. Very exciting, and lots of prizes along the way. So that's good fun. But on a gaming set of things, we went on the Minecraft Villager experience up in London.
Ooh, how was that?
But, yeah, interesting. So for those of you who haven't heard about it, Minecraft's a game where you build things, and it's been around for a long time. Quite popular with young people. And there's a film as well, which we haven't seen yet. But the Minecraft Villager experience is you go in a sort of a warehouse decked out in Minecraft stuff, and there's lots of projected bits. So there's like ceiling, floor, and walls projection. You get given an orb, like a square box, which changes colour when you do things to it. So you carry this orb we each get an orb, very exciting. And you wander around this warehouse doing different games and challenges. So you start off in a practice room where you hammer some trees down and kill some things and tread on some apples to pick them up and all that kind of jazz that you do in the real Minecraft. And then you move into, it's about 6 different rooms, 6 different areas where you do different things. So you hit things and you kill people, things, and kill monsters and pick stuff up and get gold bars and eat fish and all kinds of things. And then eventually, as you work your way through these different challenges, you eventually build the portal, and eventually you free all the villagers, making an experience. So it's good fun. We took one of Joshua's friends. So that was interesting. Obviously quite expensive to get to London and a bit of a pain in the bum. It's about a 45-minute experience, but obviously about a 5-hour round trip by the time you get there and back. And food and everything else, quite expensive and quite timely. But yeah, good fun. We enjoyed it. It started off a bit ropey because some of the tech wasn't working that well. We were trying to chop trees down the practice area and they just weren't chopping down at all. And the assistants were saying, just do it like that. And it wasn't working at all. So that was a bit frustrating. But when we got into the main bit, it was actually good fun. And you got to craft some bits. So you went off and get different bits and then press your orb of whatever it's called, influence on different things to make different parts of Minecraft weaponry, and that was good fun. They enjoyed that part. So yeah, good experience, good day out, something a bit different. So yeah, I'd recommend it to anyone, probably with children. It's probably not best suited to adults unless you're a really, really sad adult that likes pretending to be in Minecraft with projections, but a good day out, so good fun. That was our big gaming one of the month. I've got some other things, but we'll come back to it after you have a chat about some things.
Nice. Yeah, no, sounds fun. I had quite a quiet month, so not much to cover for me. Very family based. Easter Sunday, we went round to Hannah's folks, which was really nice. Went for a lovely day with one of my sisters as well, and just taking it pretty easy, to be honest. Work's been busy, too busy for my liking, so that's kind of taken over, and also limited my gaming for the month. So I'll say those famous short expression. I'm expecting a short episode. So buckle in, folks. Will be an hour and a half. So we did that, and recently went to Waddesdon Manor as well, just this past weekend. Don't know if you've been up there, James. Old stately home, one of the national trusts.
Not for a long time. Years ago we went there. Not for a long time there.
Oh, it was really good. It was, beautiful, lovely day. This past Sunday, as of recording, so late April, but very unseasonably warm. Anna came back with a slightly red upper back, so that was quite impressive. I thankfully remembered my hat because, as a bald man, I need to wear my hat, otherwise I'll get a very red head. Be chased around like the toddlers to put a hat on in the sun. So that was very nice, and we saw some. There's these elephant sculptures, they're sort of made of look like wicker. It's not wicker, but something similar, and which are designed to draw attention to the sort of challenges, conservation challenges of keeping these wonderful animals alive. And what's really cool is that we saw an exhibition of them in New York when we went there last autumn, and it's all connected. So it was the migration across America. It started in New York and went all the way to the other coast, and we saw them in New York. And then a couple of them seemed to have got a bit lost because they ended back across this side of the pond. But it was nice to catch up, see how they've been doing since we saw them last. So that was the big one. You said you had other stuff to cover, James? Busy month?
Oh, yeah. Mainly Joshua stuff. He went on a drama camp because he didn't stay away, but a drama club. So it's a 4-day thing in Woodley, and you go and you learn a play and then perform it on the last day, and we go along and watch it. It's great fun. So this time they did a Wicked-inspired production called Defying Gravity. I think it's called Defying Gravity. I'm sure it was. Must have been, mustn't it? It makes sense.
Seems on point, yeah.
And he played the part of a teacher/professor who was a goat. I've not actually watched the film yet, but supposedly he's a fairly exciting character. There's not many male characters in Wicked, per se. So Joshua was one of the 3 boys that came to the production and got the goat part, which he was happy about. And he got to wear a beard, because he wore a beard last year when they did Hercules, when he played Zeus. So he had a nice big beard last time, and he's got to wear the exact same beard this time, so he was delighted. And he also got to wear some horns for the goat and some handcuffs for when he was arrested at the end and removed from the school. So he had a good time. It was good. Some of the singing wasn't quite to the standard of Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. They put the music up quite loud, and at the start we thought, that's quite loud, that's a shame, it's really drowning out the singing. And then they turned it down a little bit. Oh, God. I really need to drown out the singing a bit more. But Joshua did well. He acted his part well, enjoyed it. And he was the best one there, as always. So that was good fun. We also went to other places like Buckleby Farm and Dinton Pastures and other places that you go with children. And the only other thing I really did was tiling. So you remember from the olden days, we used to have house renovations, and we're still ongoing with our bathroom and ensuite stuff upstairs. We are now, I think, 9 weeks into our 3-week bathroom project, so we're nearly there. And my entire 9 days I took off to get some tiling done. We spent literally 9 solid days tiling, like 9 to 5 every day.
Wow, really cool.
Experience. And it was all really good, and it was all finished. We've got a nice new bath that's sitting in place, but obviously not plumbed in yet. It's a jetted tub. It's got 8 jets in it, 90 centimetres wide. If you can fit 2 decent-sized bums in the bath, which is nice. But annoyingly, as Sarah's about to grout it, one of my half tiles decided to leap off the wall in dramatic fashion and smash a nice big chip in the acrylic on the bottom of the bath. Yes, that's a bit of a pain in the bum. Annoyingly, I did the whole tiling wonderfully using proper tile cement, and then I completely ran out of tile cement for the last half a tile. So I did some internet research and thought, if you put a lot of no more nails on it, it should be fine on the plastered wall. But it wasn't fine. It fell off after 4 days of being on the wall and made a nice chip. So now I've got an acrylic bath repair company coming out on Wednesday. That cost £204 to repair our chipped bath, which is a bit of a bummer. So there you go. That was my other great news from the Easter holidays.
I can picture that almost happening in slow motion and sort of the slow motion dive towards it. But gutted. Yeah, I managed to drop some nail clippers in the sink a few weeks ago, and that took a chunk out of this little coating, and it's infuriating, isn't it? But that wasn't new, at least. So feel for you, James.
Sarah was standing in the bath at the time, about to do the grouting, and the towel fell off and nearly hurt her foot. And she was like, "Oh, it's lucky it didn't hit my foot." But on reflection, it would have been a lot cheaper if it had hit her foot rather than like a massive chunk out of the bottom of the bath. Unfortunately, she's still 9 months behind on the podcast, so she won't hear that.
That's exactly what I was going to say. In a few months' time, or 9 by the sounds of it, you're going to get a proper, well-deserved smack around the head for that one. I thought I had a segue from Wicked to my last thing, which was we went up to Hammersmith. I can't do one for the bath, is what I'm kind of disclaiming early. I don't think, unfortunately, I don't think there's a character called Chip in Labyrinth. But we went up to, if it had gone to see Beauty and the Beast, it would have been fine, wouldn't it? So I'll have to go back and change history. But yeah, we went up to see a live or a sort of just a film version of Labyrinth, but with a live orchestra or with live music at the Hammersmith Apollo, Eventim Apollo, I think now they're sponsored. So that was this month as well, which was really good fun. I mean, I remembered the film, but I don't remember loving the film, apart from a couple of awesome songs. But it's one of Hannah's sort of fond childhood memories, and we had a great time, and I really enjoyed it. It's really funny. Do you remember Labyrinth?
Yeah, it's where David Bowie flies around on a big pink hairy thing between his legs, isn't it?
I think you might have inserted the big pink hairy thing between his legs, so to speak.
Is he flying a big sort of pink fairy dragon type thing?
I've got a feeling you're conflating it with Never-Ending Story and Falcor.
Oh, Never-Ending Story, yeah. That was it. No, it wasn't that. Yeah. No.
So you've taken the Goblin King from Labyrinth and put him on Falcor from Never-Ending Story. I mean, it's like Aliens versus Predator, but in sort of childhood films style. It's very funny. Anyway, if you get a chance, if it's on no doubt one sort of Boxing Day or holiday day, check it out because it's really good. And we had a really good time, and all the trains worked on the way back as well. So helps on these trips up to London. Anyway, enough about logistics. Anything you've been watching that you'd recommend, James, before we jump on to games? Any highlights?
No, well, I've been watching Reading Play a lot.
There you go. Would you recommend it?
Yeah, the last few weeks have been all right. Yeah. So we're currently 7th in the League One table, 11 on points with 6th at Leyton Orient. And there's only one game left this coming weekend. And if Leyton Orient don't win and we do win, then we go into the playoffs. But if we both win, then we don't go into the playoffs. So a lot to play for, very exciting. And also congrats to Wrexham, who went up last weekend, and Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively were hugging Sam Smith, who used to be an ex-Reading player on the pitch. So it was a bit of a strange turn, having two famous movie people hugging Sam Smith, who's a bang average Reading player from the past. But there we go. In terms of watching stuff, not a lot, because we've been too busy tiling. I've been watching tiles and watching them fall off the walls nearly onto feet. But we have been watching a show called The Recruit. Yeah, it's called The Recruit, isn't it? Yeah, The Recruit. It's an American drama, as you can imagine. 6 episodes long. We watched one season last year, or one series for UK viewers. And it's about a man who joins as a lawyer with the Attorney General's office or something. And he gets involved in lots of secret stuff, and then somehow gets involved in lots of japes and goes to different countries and gets involved in lots of murders and lots of exciting stuff. So that's been quite fun, actually. We've been quite enjoying that one. That's the only thing we've really watched. Sarah's been watching a lot of stuff. We've been watching The Resident still, which you mentioned last time. I'm still watching The Rookie. But we've pretty much emptied out all our other series. But the new series of You is on now. I can't remember if you watched You before, but we have always loved You. Great programme, very entertaining, the first few series. The last one tailed off a bit, but if you've not watched You, watch You, because it's really good.
This is really confusing. because you're looking at me saying the new series of You, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, I get that now.
Yeah.
And then you said Now, and I was thinking, I'm sure it's on Netflix, but you mean it's on now, as in currently, rather
Right
than
now.
a streaming service.
In the background, yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so You are on Now. No, hang on. Anyway, yes,
Yeah.
got it.
Great program, though.
Yeah, I've heard good things.
Yeah. He's a really nice bloke, but then he's a bit, yeah, he's always been a bit weird, but it gradually comes out through the series.
Is this a spoiler warning, James? Because I haven't seen it. So.
Everyone knows how it all works. But yeah, there's lots of bad things happen, and he gets fixated on women, and then that leads him down difficult moral paths. It's a really good program. You'll love the first series. The first series is probably the best. It's really hard hitting and really fun. But the other ones are a little bit darker. So watch it.
Wow.
Do it. Not tonight, not now, but soon.
I'll just pop off. I'll be back.
Yeah.
You can hold the fort. Well, speaking of first series of the best, we finished the third series of White Lotus, which I mentioned last month. It was still good. I think it finished well, but not quite up to the first or second, in my opinion. That is on Now, as in Now TV. So. But it is still streaming, so check that one out. And I'd recommend Ludwig, if anyone hasn't seen it. David Mitchell on iPlayer. David Mitchell plays one of the twin brothers who isn't a detective, but when his brother goes missing, who is a detective, he is a puzzle setter, and a bit of a socially kind of awkward puzzle setter, and he pretends to be his brother and accidentally solves a murder as a detective, and then sort of, that gets a bit that becomes a bit of a thing, and he ends up sort of working in a police station, unbeknownst to all the people around him. Well, they know he's there, obviously, but they don't know he's not his brother. So it's very good. There's only 6 episodes, I think. It starts off a little bit slow. Each episode is a particular different sort of crime of some description, but it's got a thread running through it about trying to solve what's happened to his brother. So it's on iPlayer. David Mitchell, being David Mitchell, if anyone is familiar with his work on Would I Lie to You or Peep Show or pretty much anything else, he's not. I think he wouldn't mind me saying he doesn't have the biggest of range, but he's very good in this, and a really interesting and good show. So yeah, that's me.
I thought it was going to be about Beethoven, but obviously it's not.
No, there is. There's some music connections, and I think it's just his like pseudonym that he sets puzzles under. So I think all of the puzzle setters and crossword setters and stuff they choose a name that is their sort of, is it a pseudonym? They choose a pseudonym for those things. Nice. So yeah, check it out.
Being a gaming podcast, we should mention The Last of Us Series 2, which is on program places that I don't have access to, annoyingly. So I'd love to talk about it, but I can't, because I can't watch it yet. So we've got to wait for it to come on a streaming service that we don't have to pay any extra money for, on top of all these streaming services that we already pay lots of extra money for. But it looks good. It's gone well, supposedly. Good feedback. Fascinatingly, I always assumed that Bella Ramsey was American, and they're not.
No.
Baffled. From Nottingham or Leicester or Lincoln or somewhere north of Reading. And for in a whole new light, bizarrely.
It's weird, isn't it? When you, like Jodie Comer suddenly being interviewed, if you didn't know where she was from, and hearing her, well, I suppose with her, especially if you came across her during Killing Eve, then you wouldn't know which was her proper accent, because she's brilliant at them. But a lot of actresses, I think, do well, to my ears, do such a good American accent that they pass. But I'm sure some Americans probably think that's true of some of the Americans doing British accents, and they vary, don't they, between pretty good and Dick Van Dyke. So sorry.
It's pretty weird about Bella, though, because assuming the Americanism, I always assumed they were a bit weird and a bit annoying, but when they turned out to be British, they now seem to be quite quirky and fun. Bizarrely.
And hello to all of our American listeners who are now switching off. I'm sure James didn't mean anything by it.
No. But the stick that Bella gets for not looking like how Ellie is meant to look like.
Yeah.
It's bizarre, isn't it? Social media just packed with the fact that Caitlin Devon looks a lot more like Ellie does in the game and not like Abby does at all. So that seems to be what is fascinating people rather than the actual show itself. So I'd love to watch it at some stage when it becomes free. I'm sure it'll be great because I enjoyed the last season. Have some interesting bits when it sort of took the game but played up on, had whole episodes about characters that weren't big characters in the main game. And I think they're doing the same on this one. I think they're splitting over 2 seasons for part 2 of the game. So fascinating. And they've also brought out the complete edition of The Last of Us game, just to rinse a little bit more money out of the fans of Naughty Dog. So they did the originals and the remasters and the remakes of both, and then they're doing the complete package, which implies it's not going to be a Last of Us 3. Anyway, I'm straying into talking about games. Apologies.
No, yeah. Well off. We're going to have to change our genre in Spotify and Paris podcast. We'll have to change it to gaming if we're not careful.
Yes.
Yes, I am looking forward to Last of Us. I do have Now TV, but I'm currently watching The Penguin, which I will save until I've finished because I've only got a few episodes in. And Last of Us will come after that. So hopefully, maybe next month I can speak informed on that one.
Excellent.
Right, let's. You mentioned gaming. We should, token gesture, cover it, and our game of the month is a good place to start. I think, as always, I'm going to quickly attempt to summarise Blueprints. Hopefully, try and get to the bottom of this rather intriguing title that we've been playing. So it's a first-person puzzle game. You explore a mansion with ever-shifting rooms, which you build by drafting randomised cards. So you go into a room, you'll have doors that you can exit. When you get to a door, the game will present you with 3 random different rooms that you can choose next. But once you've drawn those 3, you have to choose one, subject to some shenanigans potentially. And so then your objective is to reach the 46th room in your mansion because you've been bequeathed this mansion by an elderly relative, but only if you can reach the hidden 46th room. So it's lots of other aspects. There's lots of other mysteries to solve. There's some more stuff going on maybe that meets the eye. This was developed over 8 years by one person, which kind of blows my mind, to be honest. But yeah, James, how did you find Blueprints and this month's Game of the Month?
Yeah, it's a strange game, isn't it? It's not a normal thing. So yeah, it felt like it should have been a puzzle game, and it is a puzzle game, but there's not many obvious puzzles to solve. So there's like 2 main puzzles towards the start. There's one involving a dartboard, so you figure out the concept and then you solve that one, fairly straightforward. And there's one involving 3 boxes that you figure out the concept and you find the gems each time. That's the only 2 sort of proper, obvious, traditional puzzles right at the start. But then there's lots more puzzles involving things that are on the walls and locations and bits and pieces. So there's really obvious puzzles in the foreground, there's less obvious puzzles in the background, and then the whole game is a kind of puzzle because you're architecturally drawing rooms to try and get yourself around the building to the mysterious 46 room, as Charles mentioned. So each room, there's 46 different rooms, but that's not including bedrooms and green rooms and red rooms and shops and corridors. So they're in addition to the 46 rooms.
Oh,
so there's a whole... Yeah,
I did not know that.
Oh, yeah. So you can look on a little map at the top. So if you discover each room, it appears on the map of rooms that you own, and you can scroll through each section. It tells you what rooms in which section. So some of them only appear in the green room section or the red room section. And each room has different features. So some rooms have keys in, some rooms have coins in, so you can buy some stuff. Some rooms have gems because you need gems to access certain rooms. You need keys to access certain rooms or boxes in different rooms. And as Charles mentioned, each room has a certain number of exits to it. So you can choose like a hallway, in which case you might get 3 exits. So you can walk into the room and then you can leave on the left, the right, or the top. Whereas some rooms are dead ends. So like a bedroom, for example, will give you some special features. So you go into the room, the whole game's built around steps. So you get given 50 steps at the start of the game when you enter the mansion, or manor, or whatever you want to call it. And when you run out of steps, you lose a step every time you go through a door into a room. But when you go into a bedroom, you gain a certain number of steps because you sort of rest in that room. So one of the bedrooms gives you an extra 10 steps, for example. But it's a dead end, so that means you can't then go forward from that room. So you spend a lot of time in the first few run-throughs planning which rooms to pick out of the 3 options based on where the doorways are and where you can move on from, because you can quickly find yourself in a dead end if you pick rooms that have no way of getting back out of it. And each day, at the end of each day, it sort of resets itself. So it's like a roguelike type game. So at the end of day 1, as soon as you get stuck, you then choose to finish the day, and then everything resets itself. And the next day you'll get 3 different options when you go through the first door to pick which rooms you want to go to, and everything's kind of reset itself. But weirdly, you can buy certain things and keep them in a certain room so they're available to you the next day when you go back to that room. So some things you can permanently change. So you can add additional blueprints on certain days, so you get some new rooms, and you can get items that you can then pick up the next day. But it's really weird. It wasn't what I was expecting, because I was expecting it to be a lot more generic puzzle heavy. But it's just odd, interesting. Probably about 2 or 3 hours into it, probably not the full 4 hours, because me and Sarah play it together. It suggests you take lots of notes, which does make sense. There's clues about what you can do and what you can't do. And although it says the rooms are randomly generated, I believe that depending on where you are in the floor plan, some rooms occur more likely than other rooms. And depending on what features you pick up and what key cards you've got, some rooms are more likely to spawn than others, because some rooms are higher rated than other rooms. It's a very complicated game, but after you play a few days of it, it makes more sense, and then it's quite fun trying to get as far as you can. Yeah, that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, we probably sound like madmen again. It's a bit like the Stanley Parable all over again. But in terms of, you mentioned you probably played a few hours. Do you remember how many runs you've done then, James? I'm curious.
About 5
Roughly.
days, I think.
Yeah, okay, so we're about similar, I would say, in terms of runs. I feel like we've spent a little bit longer. I'm playing with, interesting you're playing with Sarah, because I'm playing with Hannah, so it does lend itself to that sort of cooperative experience, doesn't it? One person can control it, but you can kind of work things out together, which I really enjoyed. And interesting you said about the dartboard being early on, because for me, that's something that we only just came across very recently. Okay. So it just shows, I think, that everyone's kind of playthrough might be quite different. But as you said as well, with some consistencies, I think there are some things that appear more random than they are, possibly. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Good first run. We sort of learnt the rules. We came across a room that had a puzzle in it, and we solved it and felt very clever. And we were like, "Oh, this is intriguing." Next run, discovered very similar rooms, only a couple of new ones. Couldn't work anything out new and felt very stupid. And since then, probably kind of somewhere in the middle, keep discovering new stuff. We got quite far. We decided to do a run just towards the top of the mansion. I don't know if you tried something similar rather than trying to sort of work things out. We just thought, well, let's just try and get as far as we can. We got right next to the anteroom right at the top, but didn't have a door in the right place, which was a bit frustrating and may or may not be coincidence. So that was good. We feel very early on in the thing. I think that it feels like there's patterns, but I'm not quite sure what they are. We made loads of notes. If someone discovered those notes, we would probably be on some watch list, because they just sort of like, you know, when you see a film or a TV show and there's a complete madman like penguin with a question mark or something, you're just like, that could well be in one of the rooms, but we haven't come across it. But that sort of thing, exclamation marks, question marks, lots of arrows to each other, that sort of stuff. I really enjoyed some of the very silly double meanings. Listeners, it's called blueprints, as in a prince who is blue, but it's obviously blueprints as well, because you're drawing the mansion as you go along. But there's a room called a spare room. Have you come across the spare room, James? Yeah, and it's just it's because it's spare, presumably, and so there's a lot of sort of puns on the room names, which are kind of silly and quite good. I can see why people like it. I can see why it's got its hooks into people. I feel like we're going to go one of two ways. Either you're going to sort of feel like you're really uncovering the truth and kind of working your way through, or I could also see how those random elements of it could be quite frustrating. You're like, okay, I know what I need to do, I know what I need to get, I'm not drawing that card. That would be annoying. How about you, James? Do you think you'll finish it?
Well, there's some big overarching puzzles which we worked out how the puzzles work Yeah, fascinating game. A lot of people I've read have said it's like game of the year potential. So for me, it's not, because for me, for a game of the year, it needs to have a great story, it needs to have great graphics, and it needs to be like epic. And this game's never going to be epic. It's very interesting. I'm enjoying it. Don't get me wrong. I certainly am planning to finish it, although a lot of people say it takes a good sort of 20 to 30 hours to get there, and then even then you can still play another 30 hours afterwards to find more puzzles and more mysteries. It's a really interesting game. Definitely enjoying it. Nowhere near game of the year for me because it's not grand enough, but very impressive in that someone's come up with something that's truly fairly unique and a bit different, which we always like trying unique and different things. Yeah, so good game. Certainly go back to it, and hopefully this time next month we'll be able to have got a bit further. The only downside for me is that you never know how close you are to getting somewhere. So until you've got all the rooms, you can't really get that far. So yeah, it's going to take a while for me and Sarah to find the time to do it. A lot of Indiana Jones, we only played it together, so it's very rare that we're both in and vacant and awake at the same time. So it might drag on a bit. It's a good game, but not game of the year for me.
Yeah,
Probably 77% for me.
70. I was going to ask if you're going to score it. I did say out of 10, but we'll go with that. So 7.7.
Yeah.
I was going to say for me at the moment, I'd go 8. And I think that, so very similar. But interesting what you were saying about Game of the Year. Yeah, I also don't feel it's likely at the moment to be mine, but I can see how it could easily be a 9. I think if it kind of comes together in the way that people have talked about, you know, it really clicking with them and getting the hooks in, that would be right up there for me. And personally, it's not really about the scale or how it looks, but it's just going to be about the thing that I think will take away from it for me is the random nature, and you do really have to focus and you really have to kind of throw yourself into it. And I think that for me, I'm looking for an escape in my games. I do like a puzzle. I really enjoy puzzle games. But yeah, at the moment, I'm a bit concerned it's going to be a bit too much like hard work. So looking forward to digging in a bit further, like you said, and maybe we'll get an update next month as well.
Yeah, I equally prefer puzzle games where you do a puzzle, then you can move on somewhere. I'm a more linear type person, whereas this is quite an open world type game, and I don't like open world games because they annoy me because you never know if you're on the right track or not. I like knowing I'm on the right track for my regular endorphin boosts. So this one, it might annoy me. It annoy me a little bit, but it's not annoying me enough yet to not play it. But it might do at some stage, or I might love it equally. The only way it'd be my game of the year is if you got to the 46th room and it was like full of zombies and there was massive cutscenes and Indiana Jones came in on a plane and all sorts of stuff to really jazz up. But I don't think it's going to happen.
You're a simple man. I want spectacle. That's what I'm hearing.
I want drama. I want darkness and epicness.
Excellent. Well, maybe you've got that in some of your other choices, James.
Maybe I have.
What else have you been playing this month?
Well, we talked about Thingy last month, didn't we? Silent Hill remastered. The remastered remake.
Silent Hill 2 remake.
Got to be a remake, isn't it?
It is a remake, but I'm not sure what it's called. Thinking about it, they might have just called it Silent Hill 2, just to be annoying.
The Silent Hill 2. Last time we talked about, I was nearly finished. I felt, and now I have finished. I always like to finish a game this month again. It's always nice. I finished 3 games last month. I finished 2 this month, so still pretty good. We talked about last time. It's a weird game. It's very foggy, as per the original, and the town Silent Hill is really grotty and miserable and full of monsters, kind of. But they're very weird monsters. I think I mentioned before. The first monster you come across like crawls along the floor and then vomits acid at you, which is really annoying. You don't want to be vomited with acid when you're going through a new place. There's nurses dressed up in like PVC nurses outfits that hit you with pipes and stab you with knives and stuff, so they're all a bit weird as well. But then occasionally you get sort of a boss, which is like a big blob strapped to a table of blobbiness, and they come and blob towards you. Very odd. And you're called James. You're trying to find your dead wife who died possibly 3 years ago. Maybe not, who knows? And the game is about trying to find her. You kind of know you're not going to find her, but in the end, you kind of find the answers you're looking for. But it's not really the answers you want, but you get some answers, kind of. But interestingly, there's 8, I think, different endings, depending on how you play the game. You initially have 3 different endings, but when you complete any of the 3 endings, it then gives you a lot of bonus endings. So if you want to replay parts of the game, you can then get a bonus ending. And like one of the bonus endings is like the whole thing was run by a dog on a computer. really random, really random. But the game itself's great. It's very atmospheric. The monsters are a bit samey after a while because they're always the same. The gameplay is similar after a while. You go into a room, you go out of a room, you crawl over a table to get into a room, you crawl underground to get into another room. So it's very much ticking off each room to find odds and sods to pick up, like bullets and health packs and all that jazz. And yeah, you work your way through lots of places. You finish up in a big hotel, which is quite interesting. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. Really good game. Graphically, I thought it was very good. Voice acting's good. Story's a bit odd. You can tell it's an old story. They've not really updated the story much from the original, so it's still quite dated in that way. You still have like a VHS tape player towards the end of the game that you put a VHS into, which is fine. And yeah, the whole thing you think is going to be solved, and then it's kind of solved, but not in the way you expect it to be solved. And me and Sarah were kind of left a little bit disappointed at the end. But then it's the kind of game where it leaves you with more questions than you have answers. So you go away and then start Googling people's opinions on it and then find out lots of fun stuff. So good game, really enjoyed it. Nice to be finished. It's one of the only games that I've actually bought physically. And even then, that was bought by my father-in-law for Christmas, so I didn't actually pay any money for it. But I'm glad it's done because it's a really good game and really enjoyed it.
Nice. Sounds like a good one to pick up, maybe around Halloween this year. I completed one game this month, and that was my main, which was South of Midnight. So something I've been really looking forward to, a 3D action adventure from Compulsion Games set in the Deep South. Got a very kind of gothic, dark and somewhat potentially quite sad story and kind of world about it. It's a combination of platforming, exploration and combat. Mainly it's about that world though. It's amazing, sort of really evocative of the Deep South. Some great music, looks fantastic. It's got a really good sound art direction, makes it feel like almost like a sort of stop motion animation. It's got that sort of slow, low frame rate look like in Spider-Man Across the Universe, for example, in the cutscenes, which makes it look pretty good, but different from Harold Halibut, which was the claymation thing that we both played. Was that this year? Last year. Similarly striking visually. In gameplay, it's much less obvious, that effect. I know a lot of people were worried that it would look kind of quite jaggedy and quite choppy in motion, but actually it's really smooth, really fluid. You control Hazel, the main character, who is a weaver. She finds out that she's got these abilities to kind of create platforms and manipulate the world using her sort of her powers, weaving in the sort of tapestry of history, that sort of concept. And she's looking for her mother after this huge and slightly otherworldly storm kind of hits and drags her mum's house / trailer sort of downriver. Opens with very much Alice in Wonderland type vibes. There are little rabbits and critters all over the place. It's got that sort of off-kilter nature. I think you'd enjoy it, James, after your Alice whatever it's
Madness
called.
Returns.
Madness Returns, yeah. Somewhere between Alice in Wonderland and a sort of Brothers Grimm fairy tale. So it also reminded me a bit of Bramble, which I think we both played and really enjoyed.
Great game.
Yeah. So I'd recommend it. Like I said, it's got that sadness, melancholy. The music really plays into that. It goes to some quite dark places in terms of storyline. Not everyone lives in that story. Side characters, any characters, are fair game, and if you are, I think it probably needs a few trigger warnings if you're in certain situations. It's got a giant talking catfish, which looks like it's made from, almost like a quilt, the sort of different squares of a quilt. Can't go wrong with that. And a giant, monstrous, let's call it creaturous in terms of Frankenstein's monster. A big crocodile or an alligator must be in the Deep South called Two-Toed Tom. So you've got these really amazing cast of characters, larger than life. The only thing that lets us down, I would say, is probably, it's been said a lot, is the combat. It's quite repetitive. I actually thought it wasn't too bad, but it does lack in terms of jeopardy. So you've got some sequences, some escape sequences, some fights, and to me, I think I don't want a game to be really hard. We've played enough of those, struggled through those, but it did feel almost a bit lightweight in terms of the gameplay. So the world's great, the setting's great. Another solid 8 from me. Elevated from a 7 by the presentation and the kind of just the sense of place, which is fantastic, and brought down from a 9 by the repetition and the lack of peril. So that was my main game for the month.
How long did it take to beat, Giles?
It's not very long. I'm sure people probably say 6 to 8 hours, which in Giles' terms probably means more like 12 to 15. 24. Yeah, exactly. But I did sort of explore a few extra nooks and crannies. You can control your sort of childhood toy, who's called Crouton, is like a little stuffed toy. Although it does look a little bit like the Oogie Boogie Man from Nightmare Before Christmas. And you can control him sort of going around these little burrows and stuff occasionally, which you do need to do as part of the game. But exploring all those little nooks and crannies of the world, just because the world's so cool, I definitely saw, I think, almost everything that the game had to offer between start and finish. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. And hopefully more of those games see the light of day. It feels very much like a Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 sort of era game. No like live service stuff, no temptation to try and take over your life. It's just in, story, out, job done. Enjoyed it.
Just a game. Yeah, I nearly played it, but then I was worried it was going to be a bit long after the other games I played this month. So I wanted something a little bit shorter, but it sounds like it's quite short anyway. Yeah. Lots of reviews I've seen is that it's quite an unusual setting. You don't get much in the Deep South. You don't get many exciting, authentic black characters, so that's quite interesting. And yeah, everyone said it's a really good game, so I'm glad you've enjoyed it too. I should definitely give it a go this month.
Excellent. What else have you been up to?
What else? Thingy, Lost Records, Bloom and Rage, Tape 2. Obviously, it was our game of the month last month, was it, or month before? Hard to keep up with time these days, isn't it? Was it? Blimey. Oh, we did a special in the middle, didn't we? So last month we had a little bit of a moan saying we were really looking forward to the game. It's a great concept, and it's set in the 90s, the first part of it anyway, or some of the flashback moments were in the 90s. So we're expecting it to be quite nostalgic and vibey, which it kind of was, but we felt it was a little bit slow, the first one, and a bit too much reliant on walking around with a camcorder, taking camcorder photos of birds, which seemed a bit pointless. But it was definitely building to something. And then towards the end, some exciting things happened and it got a bit more interesting. And we're thinking maybe Tape 2, which is the second part of it, was going to be more exciting. And I found it was much more exciting, personally.
Yay.
So I really enjoyed Tape 2. It certainly eclipsed the first one by a long way. So Tape 1 is Bloom and Tape 2 is Rage. So as you can probably imagine, Tape 2 is a lot more sort of ragey and a lot more sort of angsty, a lot more sort of 90s girl powery, ragey stuff, which is quite good fun. The story's a lot more interesting, it's a lot faster. It seemed to go a lot quicker than the first one. And there's lots of drama in it, lots of incidents, lots of stuff that happens in this group of people. And yeah, just a lot more interesting and more engaging. Really enjoyed the soundtrack as well, actually. It's quite nice at the end. And there's a few different endings as well, depending on how you play the game and some of the decisions you take, which is nice. We're a bit worried in the first game that there was not much decision making to make apart from naming a cat and naming the hideout, and it didn't seem to have any real purpose to it. But towards the end, you can make some choices, and it ends up your choices impact on which characters are left at the end of the game and how it sort of plays out. So quite interesting, very enjoyable. So yeah, much improved. Glad I played the second one because it made the first one feel a lot better, and the second one ended it on a bang. And it's just a lot short as well. It's about 5-6 hours. So really glad I played it over a couple of nights.
Cool. Yeah, I've played about an hour, I think, of it, because after you recommended that it was a bit more action-packed or a bit more going on, I guess, I thought I would dive in and echo that so far. I was just really pleased to watch back my terrible camcorder footage that I'd made in the first episode, and that just at least made me think that there was some point to it, which was really good. And I'm already seeing some payoffs to the decisions made, so it's good to know they keep coming throughout the rest of the episode. Do you think it worked then, holding back the sort of second bit? Because I imagine some people probably dropped off after the first one because it was, well, maybe literally fell asleep after the first one because it was pretty slow. Do you reckon it
Yeah.
might have worked better as one game?
Oh, I don't know. Would have made it a bit longer, but
Hmm.
only would have made it maximum 15 hours, so that's probably shorter than still a lot of games. But yeah, I think it was nice. I hadn't finished the second part, which is maybe they were waiting for feedback from the first one, and then they listened to our podcast and said it was a bit dull, so they made the second one more exciting. So I like to think we contributed heavily to the new version.
Good point.
And yeah, I guess building up some anticipation is good. The first one was all about meeting the characters and looking at the relationships and how it all come together. So you got a bit invested in the characters, even if you weren't that invested in the storyline. The characters were interesting people, so it's nice to see what happened to them. And like we said, with the first one ended on a big cliffhanger, like an episode of EastEnders with the Duff Duffs. So it made you want to look at the second one to see what was going to happen and how it was going to end up. So that worked quite well, I think. And you get the second version, second tape free if you get the first one anyway. Obviously for us it was on, what was it, PlayStation Plus, isn't it?
Yep.
Played it on? Yeah. So obviously you get it free on there anyway, but if you bought the first tape, then you got the second one anyway, if you paid money for it. So I thought it worked really well. And interestingly, so the second one's a lot more violent as well, and there's a lot more darker themes to it. Gets even more supernaturally, lots more swearing and lots more drama in it. So yeah, it felt more like a grown-ups game, the second one, whereas the first one felt like a sort of an early teen play around, make a house, do some fun stuff. But the second one was a lot more grown up and angsty. So yeah, play it if you haven't.
I will.
Don't play it before the first one though, because you need to play the first one first. And
That would be
interestingly, at the end, you get a nice summary of all the decisions you made throughout the entire both tapes, which shows you how you got up to where you ended up and what relationship you had with each character based on the decisions you made during the game. Which again emphasised the fact that the decisions you made did actually do something which I liked.
Nice. Again, that feels like that's a direct response from the from our feedback. We wanted to know that it was meaningful. Good stuff. Oh, it sounds fun. I will finish that one off in the next month. So anything else you've been playing before we move on, James?
Yes, Undertale. I know you've heard of Undertale. I think you've played a bit of it before. Yeah. So I wanted a really short game, so I did an internet search on the World Wide Web using the popular search engine Google to look up the free games on PS Plus that were short. And some of those games were Hollow Knight, which we talked about before, but also Undertale. And Undertale is a strange story. It's a very old-looking game. It's sort of an 8-bit type graphics, nothing special at all. And it starts off really basic. In fact, the whole game is quite basic. But there's some puzzles in it, puzzles that I enjoy, so they're quite simple puzzles, and you complete a puzzle to move on to the next room and go through the next doorway, so it's nice linear puzzles that you actually finish them, can move on. Loads of save points, which is good, so you don't have to go a massive way back. It doesn't reset itself after each day, which is also a bonus as well. You meet some interesting characters. There's quite a few battles in it, but the battles are very simplistic. You just move your mouse around to avoid things hitting you, so that's quite fun. It felt like a proper sort of late 80s Spectrum / Amiga game. So it was just good fun and was all about the gameplay rather than the graphics or the amazing story or anything else. So I've killed lots of animals and creatures. I've got quite a way through. I've solved lots of puzzles. So I must be getting somewhere near the end. But yeah, just really enjoyed it. So it's a good, simple little game just to spend 2 or 3 hours battling through. So again, recommend it if you want something small and simple and fun.
Nice. Yeah, you mentioned puzzle games that just go from sort of one section to the next, and that was very much my experience of Red Matter on the Quest VR as well. So Meta Quest, the sci-fi mystery players Agent Epsilon crash landing on one of Saturn's moons, and you're sort of exploring this apparently abandoned military base. It's first-person puzzle again, but in VR, and it's very much a sort of escape room style puzzles. So you're kind of in a location, you need to get to the next one. You can sort of move yourself around, teleport yourself around, but obviously look around and interact with things around you to sort of unlock doors, to solve mysteries, all that good stuff. Really good looking on the Meta Quest 3. It's been updated. I think it's on PlayStation VR as well, and there's a sequel, surprisingly, called Red Matter 2, which apparently is even better looking. I know, they really pushed the bait out with that one. But yeah, I've really enjoyed it. And again, another of the benefits, I think, of VR titles, or most of them, is that they do tend to be a bit shorter. Ideally, that's ideal because you don't want to be in a VR headset for too long, but also they tend to be priced a little lower. I'm playing them on subscription, so they're priced nothing effectively, which is certainly a good price for me. But they're sort of those little experiences you can play in amongst it. And I think I would have finished that sooner had I not been playing Blueprints with Hannah, because it sort of just feels a bit sort of puzzly, and I've been craving some action, hence why I've been enjoying South of Midnight. But yeah, Red Matter, highly recommend it, or the sequel, which is also supposed to be really, really good. And I'm very close to finishing it. Annoyingly close. It was one of those days where, had we been recording tomorrow, I could have said it's complete. But I think that will score quite highly for me once I'm done.
Next time. I'm sure I read that they bumped off, or rather laid off, lots of Meta VR people in the last week to make it more efficient as a business. So that's an interesting one.
Afraid so. Yeah, I think we might do I was wondering about a special on the state of VR at some point this year, James, because we both got the headsets, and I'm certainly really enjoying this little bite-sized experience, but I think it's pretty tough out there for any of the developers. So good point to note. You got one more on the list.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the only other little thing with Joshua was called Arcade Paradise.
Yeah.
It came out about 4 years ago, and again is meant to have a really retro feel to it. Again, it's really basic graphics and really basic storyline, really basic everything, just really basic. But interesting. So you take over your dad's laundrette. Your dad owns lots of businesses and he's given you one to prove yourself as a useful son. So you start off with loading people's washing and unloading it and sticking it in the dryer and taking it back out again to earn some money. And unblocking toilets, bizarrely, which earns you money because money's blocking up the toilet. No idea why. And if you throw some litter into the trash outside, into the Grundon, you get money as well for clearing away. Bizarre. But that's a business. But then you go into the back room and realise there's a couple of arcade machines knocking out there. So people, when they come in to do their laundry, they can go out and play on an arcade machine.
Nice. And
it turns out that that's making a lot more money than the laundrette itself. So the whole concept of the game is you gradually run the laundrette, but gradually get more and more arcade machines out the back. You expand it, and then eventually the arcade business takes over from the laundrette business, and you have an arcade empire. And interestingly, every time you get a new arcade machine, you can play it as a game on its own and set high scores. So there's like 30 or 40 different arcade machines you can get to play little mini games on as well. So Joshua enjoyed it. I quite enjoyed watching it as well. So that looks quite fun. A very sort of 80s, 90s art style, but obviously designed to look like that. But a good game, very well reviewed, quite popular. And it's also available in VR as well, which would be quite an interesting concept as well. But we were just playing on the PS5. So there we go.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's both versions are in the subscription, aren't they? So it'd be interesting if you did try it out in VR. I'd be curious what it's like. I think it definitely has a place for giving you that real sense of presence. So cool. Okay. Quiet month for news, so we don't have much to cover. But lots of great games either just come out or coming out. We were talking about what would be our next game of the month, and we are spoiled for choice, a plethora of options. We mentioned Blueprints and it being a game of the year contender for some. Claire Obscure Expedition 33 also hit Game Pass and came out for sale on PS5 and everything else. Another game of the year contender for some people. It scored remarkably. I think it's the highest scoring game of the year so far, just above Blueprints. Oblivion, Elder Scrolls 4 Remaster. Some debate, remaster or remake, but that's regarded as a classic. So anyone out there subscribing to particularly Game Pass for those three, but Blueprints is on PlayStation Plus as well, you're eating well this month. But there's some other stuff coming out, isn't there? Doom the Dark Ages is my one, hitting Game Pass in a few weeks' time. Mentioned wanting action, that might satisfy the sort of, adrenaline junkie in me. But James, you've got a few things you wanted to call out that are coming out in the coming weeks as well.
Yeah, I've got to mention first that Claire Obscure has sold really well. It's sold like over 1 million copies since it's released, which is pretty amazing. And as you would expect, 96% of those has been on the PS5, because obviously it's on Game Pass, so you don't pay for it on there. But yeah, all the physical sales have been on PlayStation, which is fascinating. It looks like a really good game, really interesting. Reviews have been great, and the graphics look amazing as well. Another Unreal Engine 5 type game. So that's good fun. Obviously, we've got Dredge on subscription services coming on Game Pass very soon. That's a fishing game where you embark on an interesting story. You start off fishing on a trawler and dredging fish, but you end up discovering mysteries and dark things under the ocean that leads you through the exciting game. So that was always interesting. I wanted to play it for a long time, but now it's on subscription. I'll probably get around to playing it now finally. There's a company called Kairosoft, which I'm sure you know, who made some awesome games over the years, like Game Dev Tycoon. It's very much voxel graphics. So every game looks like it's from the 80s. They churn out games like no one's business. It's a little Japanese company. So every type of simulation game, they whack out every now and again in a very basic format. And this month on Game Pass, there's 3 Kairosoft games coming on. The best one looking to be called Dreamtown Island, which a lot of people said it's one of the top 3 best Kairosoft games ever. So you're on sort of an abandoned island. You can build whatever you want to on there. So it's like a simulation game where you build lots of stuff, and it's just all those games are quite fun. I loved Game Dev Tycoon when it came out, and all those kind of games are quite sweet and easy. A game called Stasis Valley, which is a 2D puzzle platform with 100 different levels. That looks quite interesting, actually. So that's a proper puzzle game where you do puzzles to get from one level/room to the next. And you can rotate the screen to move between things and change perspective and all stuff, but all in 2D. So that looks really interesting. I like the background story to it, and that's coming out soon as well. I think it's the 1st of May that's coming out. So yeah, that looks really good as well on Game Pass. And a game called Two Fools, which has been out for a little while, but is now coming to Game Pass. That's set in the 17th century Canada wilderness, and it follows the path of 2 different protagonists, both females. One's an Innu hunter, and one's a French immigrant that's come over to start a new life in Canada. So it's very much, it's got it or hate it, because it's like a walking simulator, visual novel type thing. But it's meant to be a really good story. The graphics look lovely. It's very immersive in the Canadian wilderness. So I might pick up that one because it's quite short and looks quite interesting as well. So those are my 4 suggestions for the coming month, all coming on Game Pass. Very little on PlayStation Plus, annoyingly. Not a great month for
although I've got a funny feeling Dredge might already be on PlayStation Plus.
I think you might be right.
Yeah, so it's definitely just being added to Game Pass, but if you are a PlayStation subscriber and listener, you've still got plenty of options, and you're not short of things to play on there, I know. So let us know what you're playing over on PlayStation Plus, and we'll try. We always try and balance our coverage, but Game Pass really is churning them out at the moment. It's quite hard to ignore. And speaking of which, we said we'd had some debate about what our game of the month for May would be. You mentioned Dredge, and that was definitely a front runner in terms of choice. I was keen on Clair Obscur, but as you correctly point out, it's quite a long game, and maybe we'll need to work our way up to that one. And we went back to one that was in contention couple of months ago. So we're going to go with Atomfall. James, do you want to do the honours in terms of summarising Atomfall? I know we haven't rehearsed this or written down any notes, so complete hospital pass. Over to you, James.
Oh, black thumb as usual. So Atomfall is a game. It's set in England, which is quite unusual for a game, which is nice. It's kind of in the north of England, around the Lake District type area. Some other podcasts, like the Veteran Gamers podcast, have mentioned the accents aren't particularly legitimate because they have like some Geordies knocking around and some other people, which doesn't make a lot of sense. But the feeling is generally right with phone boxes and red things and countryside and rolling hills and lakes and shit. Interestingly, it's kind of a zombie type stuff, but not quite. So you're in like there's been a disaster at a nuclear plant type thing. So there's a big exclusion zone set up. So everyone's trapped inside the exclusion zone that were there at the time, and then they've all split into different factions, and they get ragey if you talk to certain people and not other people, and you sort of pick a path through it, or you pick what faction you want to be involved in. You solve loads of question puzzles on the way, which takes you off in different directions. So yeah, it feels like a zombie game, but there's no zombies in it, if that makes sense. So you're in a fixed area with lots of people that are quite hostile towards you, and you're sort of trying to find a way of escaping from this exclusion zone. It's pretty much it.
Post-apocalyptic or during apocalypse, really. Yeah. But with the sort of rival factions sort of vying for resources. A bit like Fallout, a lot of the early press was sort of comparing it to a kind of UK Fallout.
Yeah.
But I think more people have sort of leaned into it. It's turned out to be a bit more, again, another mystery under sort of pinning the game, I think. And I think it's based around a real life nuclear, well, I'd say incident rather than disaster, because I think it didn't go as badly as it could have done. But a famous British nuclear issue, which I've been trying to look up as we're talking, but I can't get that quickly enough, which is absolutely killing me. But up in the Lake District. So yeah, looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing some good old Signs of Blighty. I really enjoyed playing Forza Horizon 4, which was based in the UK, wasn't it? And sort of driving around things and going, oh, look, there's something or other, something in Edinburgh, or there's the Lake District. So I'll be enjoying doing that, pointing out phone boxes, and oh, look, there's a crazy nuclear scavenger, which hopefully is not quite as true to life. But I haven't been there for a while, so you never know. Might be what you do discover if you wander around in those parts.
But from the reviews and podcasts I listen to, it seems to be quite interesting. People have got into it as they've got into the game. The more you play of it, the more interesting it gets. I think the combat's slightly ropey in parts, but there's lots of side questions, lots of things that link together. So you can go into a location and you pick up something that leads you somewhere else. So it's quite, a bit more linear for me, which is nice, but with the options of going around about the outside, but all stuck within this fairly finite space.
Sounds good. So our game of the month, it's Atomfall. It's on Game Pass. It's available to buy, I believe, on Xbox, PlayStation 5 and PC. Actually, it's also on last gen by the looks of it. So if you're a PS4 or Xbox One owner, you've been a bit more left behind in the last few years after a couple of years of everything releasing on everything. So that's one that you can still play. So just a shout out to our last gen listeners there. And we'll let you know, as always, what we think next month. Right. Yeah. Well, that's the show for May. Please remember to like and subscribe to the podcast. Consider giving us a 5-star review. We know you consider it, but maybe just push yourself to actually doing it this time, which would be very much appreciated. Helps us push up those searches. We had some good numbers over the last few episodes. We're still not quite testing the top 10 of podcasts. I think Gary Lineker and his Goalhanger Productions and various BBC Sounds podcasts probably just outperform us in listeners. But we're getting there, and we appreciate you all, and however you listen, thank you. We'd always appreciate some interaction as well. If you've got any suggestions for the show, if you've got any comments, check out our socials. Come and join James on the Facebook page. We'll love to hear your thoughts and your comments on the games we've mentioned. You can email us at xandgamespod@gmail.com. And I'm Giles Nicholson. James, how about you? Oh, I'm Giles Wentwest if you want to speak to me, but you probably don't. It's fine. Come and interact with the socials of the show. That's much more fun.
Yes. Like Giles said, all of that stuff. So check us out on all of the different socials. TikTok's always fun because we post short videos on there and they do quite well. When I say quite well, they do averagely well. They're not like big names or anything. But yeah, good fun. And if you want to leave comments and stuff, then please do on other places. And come along to the website because we'll probably review whatever game you played last month at some stage when we can be asked. So that'll be up there imminently. But yeah, that's about it. It's been a busy month and hopefully another one coming up with less tiling and less collapsing bath issues.
Yes, yeah. May, I think, could be another lull because then you get into June and you get into the sort of summer showcase type season. So that's always a busy one, lots going on. But yeah, this year is already, we're not short of games to play and talk about. So please do tune in next month for another episode of X and Games. First Friday of the month. We'll see you then. Cheers.
See you next time. Bye.